Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another exciting episode of Extreme Memories right here on the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel on the 15th and the 30th of every single month. Thank you guys so much for your support and keep them coming. The comments, we're reading them all right there. And drop some more right now down below. Like, share, comment, subscribe to the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. A lot of great programs on this channel. Right now, of course, this is one of the feature programs on the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. That is Extreme Memories. For those of you that don't know, Extreme Memories is branching out from our original format, which was back in 2020. This idea was brought to my attention actually a couple years before that. That wasn't in the cards. And once that pandemic hit, bam, we went ahead and rolled all these out. We've had a ton of tremendous interviews. And then of late, we brought back Extreme Memories in a different format, which is this: reaction videos, watch-alongs. And these have been nothing short of fun, hilarious, interesting, not only for us, but of you, the fans. We are definitely pulling back the wizard in the land of Oz. We're pulling that back for you, the XPW fans. So thank you very much. We hope you're enjoying them as much as we are reacting to them. Extreme Memories on the 15th and the 30th of every single month right here on the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel's new episodes of Extreme Memories. So without any further ado, what are we going to do again on these watch-alongs? We're going to go back in time. That's what we do here. We're keeping it primarily in the XPW 1.0 era, 99 to 03, which a lot of you in the comments have said, hey, that is the true XPW. That is the real XPW. And we're going to focus primarily on that because, hey, that's where most of the footage is at anyway. So right now, today, we're going to go back in time to January the 5th of 2002. Why are we going back to that? Because that was XPW TV episode number 78. Why are we going back to XPW TV episode number 78? Because my guest made his debut in XPW on that episode. But was it really my guest? I don't know. Because he went by a different name, then he changed his name, then he changed his accent. If anyone was confused, it was this guy right here. But let's cut the confusion right now. Let's bring him on in. I'm talking about Juantastico.
Wow. How you doing, fans? Hey, Chris, how you doing? Great to see you. Great to be back with you, brother.
Hey, thanks for being here again. My tag team partner, as always. Hey, I think you broke the record now, my friend. You were on the original Juantastico interview. It was the two Riveras colliding. It was you, Larry, myself on the first where we did two guests at once. You were on the after show of the Dark Side of the Ring, Wrestling Chatter Dark Side of the Ring, Extreme Memories. We did a watch along. So if I'm missing another one, now you're back for another watch along. Juantastico, hey, my friend, welcome back to Extreme Memories, my friend. You're looking good, pal. The hair is still flowing. Look at that.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you. Still fantastic, brother. Still fantastic, brother.
It is fantastic.
Yeah, thank you very much, Chris. Thank you. Muchas gracias.
You got it, man. And maybe you can shed some light because there's going to be a little confusion here like there was when you first came in and came onto the scene in XPW. You, of course, trained as a professional wrestler. We went through all that. So everybody, if you want to see all that information, hear all that information, archive the original Juantastico interview right here on the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel on Extreme Memories back in 2020, 2021, whenever we did that, and fill in the blanks. But you were a trained professional wrestler, but you didn't enter initially XPW in that capacity. So I guess without any further ado, we'll talk about this. And I have some questions for you, my friend, in terms of your debut. So are you ready?
Let's do it.
Okay, fans, once again, you know the drill. But before we do that, check us out at TW Chatter on both Instagram and X. For everybody that is listening to this on audio only, go ahead and type in XPW TV episode number 78. The date should come up right there, January 5th of 02. And it's parentheses, the feature in this episode. Oh man, they didn't feature your debut. They featured Chaos versus the Fat Lady. So I don't know if she sang or she wrestled, but man, we don't, society doesn't talk this way anymore, but we sure did back then. Jeez. But now let me preface that again for everybody that's listening. Everybody that we're going to see a lot of what we don't do anymore throughout the XPW reactions. But for those of you listening to audio only, go ahead and type that in. Get the YouTube commercials out of the way, initial commercials if you have them. And then when I count down from 5 to 0, hit that play button and we'll watch it simultaneously. Once again, fans, thanks again for all your support. Drop the comments, hit the bell to notifications, subscribe to the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. Here we go. XPW TV, episode number 78, back in the year of 2002 in 5, 4, 3, 2, the Juantastico debut. Here we go. Bow, bow, now, bow, 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 now, bow, 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 now. Oh my gosh, man. Look, I love that spot right there. By the way, when Chaos and Supreme did that Darth Vader, Luke Skywalker, and that's, they wanted to do that so bad. We got to do Luke and Darth. We got to do Luke and Darth. I remember in the back when they did that. I don't think you were there yet because this is your first episode, right? So this footage, you weren't there yet, but we were sitting up in the loge. You remember where the computer used to be, where the website guys
Yeah.
We were sitting up there because they had that one section blocked off. There were no fans, but just one section over was the fans. Well, remember, first section, the loge, then the colonnade up top. We were in the loge. The second section, one of those shards of glass, boom, right next to us. So the glass, when Supreme and Chaos are doing Luke and Darth Vader, that went into the crowd.
Well, you can see it in the clip right there where it just flies into the crowd. Like, someone could have got hurt.
And you know what?
I don't remember if I was.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I don't remember if I was at that particular show. I know that I was always there, in the locker room or whatever. For a while, I was there backstage for a long time before the initial Metal Fest show. So before I was, initially on camera, I was always, around.
Right. Yeah, right. That's true. That's right. You were around, and that's kind of, we'll talk about that. That's kind of how, one of the reasons why it became you as the new color commentator for XPW. So, and hey, that's so pro wrestling, right? Hey guys, hang out, bring your gear, stick around. You never know, da 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 da, and there you go. Look at that, man! I remember that night with New Jack on fire, and so many wild nights. There goes Leroy and Chaos. What a talent, man! And there's Damian Steele when he came back. That was after his UPW run, where he was one of the reasons John Cena got looked at. That's a crazy story in itself.
Yeah.
They were coming, WWE was coming to look at Damian Steele, and they ended up seeing Cena, and the rest is history. Can you imagine that, man?
Yeah, no, I mean, just another weird professional wrestling story, right? Another weird story in the history of professional wrestling.
I was kind of upset. I watched the WrestleMania 9 documentary, and Damian Steele was in the crowd. He was one of those guys Todd Pettengill interviewed that was wearing the togas. So he was just getting his foot in the business in 93. And I just kind of felt like they just showed that without saying anything about the guy. Like, WWE now is saying, hey, we're going to talk about all these different leagues now that Vince is gone and all this. But I thought they should have at least mentioned that this is the guy that trained John Cena. And anyway, I think they just put that in there and they didn't reference him. They just put him in there as a fan, and it was like, I thought they should have at least said a little something about him being there. And he was in the Farm League, the WWE Farm League, UPW, the guy who was feuding with Prototype Cena at the time. So I thought they should have said a little something.
Yeah. I mean, they could have totally. I mean,
Yeah.
there was a reason that he was the original person they were looking at. I mean, oh, shout out to Nosawa. Yeah, I mean, he had the look. You know, he looked good. He could wrestle. So there was a reason that they were out there looking at him. It just so happened that, you know, Cena, stole the show. I mean, how else can you put it?
Right.
Here we go.
So, okay, I guess we'll get some audio here, George.
Of what promises to be the biggest night in XPW history, live from the Grand Olympic Auditorium, Saturday night, January the 12th, XPW's New Year's Revolution, and Rivera. Who the hell are you?
I, for one, Chico, am extremely excited about the New Year's Revolution taking place only a week away. Chico, I understand tonight, Mr. Black will announce more matches to take place next Saturday night, in addition to the match already signed on the dotted line between Big Times and New York. As a result of what we saw here last week on XPW TV. Chico.
Apparently, Rob Black has a response for the Enterprise. This week, they're going to have to face a legitimate opponent. I mean, of course, all the shenanigans we saw the past few weeks. Of course, week one, we saw Chaos defend the title against TJ Rush's very own motivational speaker. And last week, we saw him defend the title against a female midget.
I felt like I was watching an episode of Webster.
And this week, he will have to defend against a legitimate opponent, the XPW TV title, this week.
For one, Chico, I am sick and tired of the Enterprise, their shenanigans, as you say. Last week, the week before, bull crap opponents, Chico, in the middle of the ring. This week, the Enterprise has guaranteed to bring a legitimate heavyweight contender to face Chaos.
Fans, that match we're going to see here tonight, the TV title will be on the line, as well as the main event from Retribution, as Webb defended the XPW World Heavyweight title against a mystery opponent, and after the match, all hell broke loose. Fans, don't touch that dial. Who the hell are you? You Larry? No.
Oh man, that was great, man. That was a great time right there. But boy, let's talk about that night at the office. I know we talked about it with you and Larry, but there was a lot of highs and lows. It was great to speaking of great, yeah. But it was but no joke. It was highs and lows. It was great for you and our chemistry starting up right there and working together. But that was the night where Larry and Rob reached their boiling point, and Larry, I know a phone was thrown against a wall, and Rob and Larry were shouting, and that was it. That was history. Rivera was out. You were in.
Yeah. Well, first of all, just to comment, like, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, that whole opening, smooth. It looked, very smooth, very scripted. But the reality of it is that I was extremely nervous. Pardon the pun there, but I was extremely nervous. Everything that had happened, you were inside, you heard or saw whatever. Well, let's get back to it. I want to hear what you got to say here.
Revolutionary indeed.
Focus, Chick. Focus.
Fans, we're just 1 week away from the big show. January the 12th, live at the Grand Olympic Auditorium at 8 p.m. as XPW presents New Year's Revolution. This is the show that promises to be the biggest show in XPW history. Folks, tickets are still on sale right now as we speak. Call the XPW box office, 818-755-8757. Come on, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, again, you see, like, it's like we rehearsed it almost like this was supposed to happen, and the reality of it is that none of that was supposed to happen. It was very, very last minute.
Yeah,
Literally, you know, me and a bunch of the other guys were out in the parking lot saying our goodbyes for the night, and you know, Pat storms out angry, you know, slamming doors, you name it, and then we were all like just taken aback. And I can't remember everything exactly how it happened, but something to the effect of Kevin saying, you know, everybody stick around. And, you know, moments after that, me getting pulled aside and asked, you know, hey, this is the idea. This is what we want to do. Are you down? And I mean, we've discussed this on the other interview one before. You know, initially I didn't want to, but because I had already kind of passed up on a previous idea for a gimmick, I felt like it was at that point, if I said no again, I might as well just not come back, you know, not show up anymore. So that, plus, I mean, Kevin presented it well. Kevin presented it from a comedy standpoint, and I saw how it had the potential to be funny. And to your credit, you're hilarious. You go all in, and you really put it over, and you made it funny. And when Kevin pitched it, I thought it had to be funny. And you know, he did pitch it with the open-ended idea that I wasn't going to stay as, you know, the fake Larry or whatever, that it would be a means to an end, and I would have my ultimate, you know, coming out of that to be, you know, what it was eventually, you know, Juantastico.
right.
And so with that in mind, I was like, yeah, let's do it. And the reason that it kind of happened that they went with me for that idea as opposed to anyone else is that, as you remember, anytime you guys would be around, you guys would be doing TV. If we were working out or whatever, I'd like be walking by or hanging out with you guys, and I'd be doing my impression of not just Pat, but also you. I would do an impression of Kris Kloss, and I would do an impression of Larry. And so that's, I mean, I venture to say that had to be obviously where the idea came from, because everybody knew that I did the impressions, and people would come up to me and say, hey, do Larry, and I would, you know, do the thing, and so I'm sure that's why the idea, you know, came to be.
Sure. And you know, you mentioned, okay, you guys were hanging out saying your goodbyes. Well, we were there very late doing these wraparounds. So when you and I end up doing them, you know how late that must have been, because Larry already got pissed off that it was getting too late. He finally left. It was too late at that point. Then we had to get everything together, like you said, on the cuff to do you and I our wraparound. So when you watch us right there, folks, that's well into the early morning right there. You know, that's in the that's no longer Wednesday night. That's Thursday morning. You know. By the way, right here, these were a lot of fun because we had what was the league that they were in? These guys, was it AWF?
Revolution Pro? Was that Ron's? Yeah, Rev Pro, right?
Rev Pro, and also right there, fans, in the corner of Super Dragon, that is AEW commentator Excalibur right there. So some history here, of course, going against Disco Machine, who was in Wrestling Society X also, and American Wild Child right there, Ron Rivera. I don't know what happened to Super Dragon, but boy, he was quite the talent. And these matches were pretty good, inter-promotional matches at the time. And this is when we had the crane camera. If you see, we're doing the crane cam. So also, I'll say this again, and I'll take credit for it. The lights into the crowd. You see how the opposite hard cam, all those fans are lit up, right? Normally at the Grand Olympic, it's all dark there, and the lights are just on the ring. Well, I remember, see how they're lit up over there? The crowd's lit up right there. So I had the guy from the Olympic. I say, hey, bring the lights down. And I remember, what do you want to do? Like shine like 3, 4, or 5 of them there, and then bring it back up. So I just copied what I remembered seeing in WWF when I was a kid. Like, oh, they make the crowd light up. And so, where it's dark there, I'm not saying there weren't fans there, but we couldn't do all the lights. But we primarily wanted them to be this one across from the hard cam. And it looked a lot better, I thought. It looked a lot better. And Rob, because I did it, Rob was like, who cares? That doesn't matter. Get no credit, which is fine. I didn't care. I just wanted the product to look good,
Well, and that it did. I mean, it shows you we had a lot of people at the shows.
Yes.
And you could see them.
Right. On
There's
a
that crane
recent
cam again.
Yeah. On a recent episode of Xtreme Memories Watch Along, we had Angel on, and we were talking about Pico Rivera. And I like the Olympic better, of course, the LA Sports Arena. But the thing about Pico Rivera, those last shows we did before moving to Philly, there were so many people there, but that place was so gigantic. It was like 15, 20,000 seats. So we could have like, a few thousand people there, but it still looked empty, and the where the aisleway was, there were bleachers empty because that was so far away from the ring, and the floor, the dirt, it was packed with people, but you didn't see that on camera. You only see the seats going up. But so anyway,
because the arena, the dirt itself was so huge. I mean, it was for bull riding or horse riding or doing a rodeo, so it was a very wide space. So no matter how much we put there, it still looked huge.
Yeah, it just always looked empty, even if we had good crowds there. But man, dude, yeah, these matches were good because it set the tone. It got great opening matches for that live crowd. I thought these matches right here, people were, it got them jumping at just the wrestling. And then the storyline guys, the real XPW roster, doing its thing from TV and everything, that whatever was going on storyline. But yeah, man, we basically bookended the history of wrestling in the Grand Olympic Auditorium, which is such an honor. By being a part of it, we were kind of it was like an unofficial territory came back to Los Angeles in the form of XPW. At least that's what a lot of fans were saying and thinking, that, you had a lot of old time fans. Because I remember when I was a kid, I went to the LA Sports Arena, WWF. And after like seeing all these same people, talking to some of them, these were just leftover fans that were going to the territory days of Los Angeles. Then we had some leftover fans here that were from those days in the WWF house show days that were still going here, some old timers, so I remember talking to them at the meet and greet before a couple of these events. Then there was talking like, hey, you guys, I know it's not the territory system, but that's what this feels like. You guys are the LA League now, and doing shows at the Olympic. Look at that right there. Unbelievable. So you see there are people on that side, but we just didn't light up that side,
Yeah.
Because it was the same.
Definitely, you're right about that. I mean, we as far as the wrestling world goes, XPW was LA, XPW was Hollywood, XPW was, the like it or not, hate us, love us, whatever it was, we were the face of SoCal wrestling, because everybody, whether they admit it or not, wanted to be on TV. And there was no YouTube, there was nothing to really be out there to say you made it. You had to be on television in some way, shape, or
Yeah.
form. And
Yeah.
and you know, XPW had TV, like it or not. We had
Right.
TV, we had video release, we had everything that every, indie wrestler and every wrestler just starting out wanted to, another, if ultimately your goal was back then the WWF or WCW, what other, stepping stone did you have other than to go through XPW for the exposure?
Oh, right.
Vicious. That was so stiff, bro. Like, I don't know how he got away with that. Like,
Yeah, Super Dragon had that reputation of guys saying that he was just that was his style, and I guess that was controversial at the time. Some people liked it, some people thought it was a little much, but he's definitely memorable for that. That was ahead of its time, like a shotgun drop kick assisted in the corner. Look at that power buckle bomb right there. Power buckle slam. But yeah.
yeah, I remember. I don't remember exactly what the angle was with bringing these guys in to wrestle. I do remember some of the guys kind of grumbling
Yeah.
because if you recall, like they told all the wrestlers we couldn't work anywhere. We were exclusive. We couldn't
Yeah.
wrestle. We were XPW wrestlers. We were exclusive.
Right.
And then, I don't know how many times they did this, but definitely
Look at
this show, beautiful move.
Yeah.
This guy, the athleticism, Super Dragon was something else, definitely.
Yeah.
But a lot of the guys in the back kind of were grumbling. I don't know how far up if there was ever any kind of official complaint, but I know that they would grumble and say, "Well, we can't wrestle anywhere. These guys come here, they're on TV here for XPW, and they go wrestle wherever they want."
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that that's not a valid point because it was.
Yeah, and
Ooh,
Jesus Christ, what a move! Super Dragon,
there
pump
it is.
handle, drop you on your head.
I was gonna say it better be over after that one.
No, if this was today, you would have kicked out of that.
Yeah, that would have been within the first 2 minutes of the match today.
That would have been right after the lockup.
Yeah, there goes Excalibur though. AEW now, and so a lot of history here, man. A lot of one of John with one of the lovely ladies ringside. Yeah. By the way, we said, if you heard in the beginning, and we'll talk about it when Chaos, we had the TV studio match up, and as you see, this video is titled Chaos versus the Fat Lady. The week before, he was in the studio against, as you heard me say, it was I guess still okay to say midget. It was that was the porn star Bridget the Midget. That was what her name was. And you want to hear audio? Is that what you're saying?
I want to see what you're saying here.
Okay.
We would see him
here
at the show. But what went down next, we were all shocked at the results. Let's take a look.
Kevin. Look at this. This is great, dude.
Oh, this is funny.
Oh my gosh.
I remember this. I remember the angle. I think this was the whole angle trying to they were I think this is how they were trying to introduce Vinny Massaro. The whole angle that Rob owed the wrong people some money.
Okay, yeah. The mafiosos.
Yeah, so he's like right here is like the scene with Kevin. They're meeting. He's hiding and in disguise, and he's telling Kevin that he owes the wrong people a significant amount of money. And I think this is was like the setup for bringing in Massaro.
You know, it's funny, when I had Crack on, we were watching some of this stuff, and he brought up a good point. He said, we're this little warehouse in the middle of all these other warehouse buildings in the valley. But everything happened at our building. The storyline, everything just happened at that building versus all these other buildings. This is normal everyday work, but in our building, so much was going on every week.
Oh, so true.
Alternate universe.
Really
Yeah,
was,
man.
really was.
So you came in. I mean, you came in actually a little after the halfway point because there's roughly 140 episodes. There's like 139, 141, something like that. And again, for you fans that know, correct me if I'm wrong, drop it in the comment. So you came in roughly right like at the halfway point of television.
Well, for
You know, a little.
television, yeah. Again, like
Mhm.
I had that bad that whatever, however you want to put it. Like XPW is doing amazing. You guys, XPW was in Reseda, it was in Hollywood, it was doing all these shows, and then all of a sudden we go, dark. There's no shows. Right when that happened is when I got brought in to XPW for like an interview, um, and I had a little tape from my shows. I had the word of Hombre de Oro, the Slammers reference, Carlito Montana. I had the word, the pedigree of Slammers, and this one little one-off tape from a show I did in Vegas with some WWF legends, and on that alone, Kevin said, "Yeah, no, we like it. You're good. You're in. We're not doing any shows right now, but
Yeah.
stick around. You're in. You're hired, as it were, for lack of
Right.
a better term there."
Right.
And so we'd go and we worked out. We were there working out on the days that the asylum was there. We were there working out. By the time we got there, Damien still wasn't doing asylum anymore. D was doing both days of the asylum training, and I was going I was just happy to be able to use a ring somewhere. And so I had been there for a while, but as far as like on TV, episode 78 was my first on camera, and I believe it's like episode 101 or 102 is like my last one.
Yeah, right after our 100th anniversary celebration deal. I think 101 was your last one because I remember the week later you were giving me crap about Angel and me in the pool, and I was like explaining to you how that doesn't make you, the other side, and I well, and that's one we gotta do that too, and we definitely got to do that one too. But yeah, I think that was it, and we didn't see it coming. There was no sign that, oh, you're not going to be here next week or anything like that. But it's just that was it. So you were there for like a good 25-ish episodes.
Something like that, just under 25 episodes, something like that.
Okay, just right. If it's the 78, yeah,
Yeah, and there's one episode where I don't
20.
remember what episode it is, but I'm not on commentary with you anymore. But they show the match for the Baptized in Blood 3, where we do the four-way tag team for the titles, which was my
Yeah.
last match there.
By the way, this guy, oh, why am I blanking on his name? It was the guy in the Asian guy right there in the Hawaiian shirt. He ended up passing away. He was one of the I guess he was a producer for Extreme Associates, and they brought him in. Nice guy, man. Oh man, his name is like, oh, well, I can't remember because there were so many nicknames everybody had.
Yeah.
I think it wasn't Sulu because that was Sexy Chino, but it was of course a stereotypical Asian nickname,
So
and I
yeah,
cannot
of course it was.
but I'm blanking on his real name now. But nice guy, man, and I remember hearing when he passed. I can't know. I remember when he passed, but it was not too long after this, and it was really sad because young guy. Um, it's gonna come back to me, man. I know I'm gonna kick myself because once we're done here, I know I'm gonna
Yeah,
remember.
no, feel free to blurt it out if it comes to you.
Yeah, and
Um,
if anyone else knows, and if I don't get it by the time this episode's over, drop it in the comment,
yeah.
please, folks.
I gotta say here, I'm looking at one of my favorite XPW wrestlers of all time, right there, Mr. Webb.
Yeah, and
I
there
really,
goes,
I
and there
really like
goes.
the gimmick.
Hey, is this the match where It's not really Excalibur under the mask.
What are you talking about? That's Excalibur, bro. What's the matter
Yeah.
with you?
Okay, I want to get to that point. We might need some audio here, George. Actually, play some audio here. Let's do this.
To me, he's a worthy opponent. But Webb, look at this martial arts apparently coming into play here.
He looks at maybe he's a little tired from the match
Well,
earlier tonight.
well, he really didn't wrestle in a match, but he was involved in that match earlier tonight between Super Dragon.
Wow, the Iron Claw. Look at that. The Super Claw. Iron Claw.
Wait,
Made famous by Fritz on Eddie.
well, Webb
And then his little boy, Eddie, Chico, rest in the peace.
really going after the now #1 contender for the title, Excalibur, here tonight. And I still can't believe he's the opponent, Rivera. Excalibur goes down.
This guy he was on fire in that Super Dragon match, but now he's
What the hell is
what
this?
happened to him?
Wait a minute, something's fishy going on here, Rivera. Was he paid off? What's going on?
Chico, I'm telling you, he was exhausted
Exhausted?
from his participation
You can't tell me he was
in
that.
the earlier match.
He couldn't have been that tired. He couldn't have been.
Hey, déjame decirte, this
Wait, what's
Excalibur
going on?
could have been as good an opponent as anybody.
As good as an opponent, I think RCG can do a better job than this guy. What the hell's going on here, Rivera? Something fishy going on around here. It smells like a lot of BS around here, Rivera. Wait, do you know what's going on?
All I know is that Webb has another successful world title defense under his belt.
You're going to call that a world title defense?
Oye, ¿cómo no, chicos? Pinning for the 1, 2, 3.
Wait a minute, the fans are standing up. Something's going on here, Rivera. And look at this, Rob Black going after Excalibur. What is going on, Rivera?
Fan is getting ready. Oye, ¿qué es esto? Un fan anticipa.
Oh, yeah!
Oh,
The Sandman!
no me
No,
digas.
It's the master of the world's slowest running! The Sandman! Oh, along with Major Guns. Sandman in the ring! Look at this, clearing everybody out! And it looks like he wants something to say.
Webb wants no part of this drunken bomb.
Talk about a worthy opponent, Rivera. Talk about someone who should be getting a shot at the World Heavyweight title, the XPW Championship, the Sandman. It's Excalibur. I still couldn't believe. Look at this Sandman now going after Excalibur. Wait a minute. He wants to take the mask off. We've never seen Excalibur before, Rivera. Excalibur going. He's a... It was.
Can you believe it?
It was-
It's the Dark Color.
Wait a minute, no! 1, 2! Oh, that was close, Rivera. Rob Black just hit Sandman on the head with the kendo.
How many times in the past have we joked around about the Dark Color being the Excalibur?
And the one time we did it, it was him! Rob Black nailed Sandman in the head with that
What are
kendo
the
stick
odds?
and Webb almost got
What
that
are the
far,
odds?
With Sandman kicked out at 2, and the XPW title is now officially on the line
Okay, George.
as Webb goes to work on this.
All right, man.
Oh man, couple of things, man. Right off the bat, I wanted to finish saying, this iteration of Webb, the whole Elvis Webb, I thought was hysterical. Everything in the office, the way he played it up, the in-ring stuff, everything I thought was
Yeah,
hysterical. I thought it was
Yes.
hysterical. I loved it. I loved
I
every moment
did
of it.
too.
I thought it was so funny.
you know what?
That-
And you could also argue, like, he just brought it with his. We were talking about with Crack too. He just brought it with his promos, and he was so committed to whether it was the white trash character or this one, and both of them are great. So it's like it's hard to pick which one is better, because the white trash gimmick is like you could do so much with it. You could be a heel, you could be a face, no one can knock you because you're calling yourself white trash. You know what I mean? Like you're flawless. Like, you know what I mean? And the welfare check and all that. Like it was just all of it. So I'm saying, like, as great as the Elvis one was, I don't know which one was better, you know. And that Angel asked me that too on one of them. Which one did you like better? I was like, boy, that's a hard one.
Well, I always saw it as kind of like for me it was like it was the same character. I looked at it as kind of like um, white trash, redneck hillbilly wins the lotto. What would that look like if he was a wrestler?
Ah,
And here you have
that's
it. He has the gold. He's a champion. So who's he going to
yeah.
imitate? Probably his favorite artist. So he's like, oh, I'm like Elvis now. And so I always thought like the growth of the character. I always
Yeah,
thought it was the same guy. I thought it was funny. Like I always thought
yeah,
it was like the white trash guy done won the lotto. Beverly
yeah,
Hillbilly style. And
yes,
so that's he's going to impersonate his white trash idol. And so
right.
enter the web character. And I thought it was so funny. I thought it was so
Yeah,
funny,
it's like
especially with the um the gimmick. And man, I wish I could talk to Angel. I really want to pick his brain because I remember the gimmick was like he would have somebody hit the a tape recorder, to play his music before he would come into the office or leave the office.
yeah, right.
So you
By the
had to hit his
way,
music or he wouldn't come in, and you had to hit his music when he was leaving.
by
I
the way,
remember John and I used to we used to have a joke, or we used to talk about something like that. I'd really love to talk to Angel about that to see where that idea came from.
that's funny, man. By the way, when the guy, oh, what was his name anyway? But when the guy with the Hawaiian shirt, he gave him a drink right there, and Sandman hit him, and he spit it out. There was one of the guys that was always with Elvis and always would get him stuff, and I think that's what he was emulating there
Yeah,
with
no,
the
exactly.
Hawaiian
Yeah,
shirt.
all
Yeah, yeah,
in,
yeah.
all in, doing
Like
the
his
whole thing.
right, his right, because Elvis had like this one guy that was always right hand man doing everything he needed and all that. But yeah, it was like you're right, man. The trailer park guy wins the lotto. It's like, boy, I got to start fitting in and acting like these rich folk over here. And then he's dressed like Elvis.
Exactly. That's
Right,
exactly it. Yeah.
right.
I want to bring attention to something else too. Um, you and I are doing the in studio stuff, but the call of the action, that's not me.
No, not yet,
That's
because
that's Pat.
yeah. Okay, so another little tidbit of information on this particular night when you came in and Pat left. Pat, we were always there late, right? And so Pat and I, this is all coming back to me now. Pat had a gig, as everyone, a lot of people, for those of you who don't know, Pat was a musician. He was in a famous band called Brujeria, and there was a foreign object. So these guys were, anyway, he had a gig, and I remember now it was in Santa Monica. So the week or two before, he warned Kevin and Rob, hey, I got to get out of here by a certain time. Well, when that didn't happen, Rivera was livid. Now, what we did was we did the wraparounds with us on camera, but we'd also go into the edit bay and call the matches. So Webb was the guy in charge with the matches in the edit bay, Kevin and Rob outside. So when Rivera and I got there, yeah, we went right away, called the matches first, and then after we were done, we were going to shoot our wraparounds, and that's when Kevin or Rob took too long and Rivera was out. So these were the last matches that Rivera called. Now that you
Yeah,
mentioned it, this
yeah,
was it. This was it. The only reason you're not on these matches is because that night we just happened to do play-by-play first, wraparound second. That's the only reason you're not on these matches.
yeah. Well, also, it was so late by the time we got to it. Even if someone had the idea, like, "Hey, let's go call it again," it was like,
No,
"No, I got to be at
nah,
work."
they didn't. They didn't. They were. Well, it actually fit what you were doing even better because
Yeah,
you are supposed to be Larry, and here we got. Okay, we're on commentary together. Yeah, yeah, man. So here we go, man. This was like a big match for Webb, being that Sandman was coming in, and a lot of people I'm sure, were thinking, oh, well, Webb's champ, but dude, Sandman's coming in. Oh, new champion tonight. I'm sure a lot of people were thinking that here.
Yeah, no, and to his credit, Rob did do that when he brought in these name guys from, ECW, WCW, what have you, and he made sure that our guys, the XPW guys, got over.
Yeah. Now, okay, unmuted here because you just got the 3 count, or maybe it was a non-count.
Sandman, he got the 3.
What are you talking about? This.
We're waiting for the announcement. Look at this, Hernandez handing the belt to the new champion. The Sandman is victorious. Oh, rejoice, Rivera. This is great. The Sandman finally getting his
Oh, man. Rejoice when I get to dance. Do a pachanga right there.
Classic Kris.
Changa. Unbelievable, Rivera. And there he is, the new XPW champ. Wait a minute, Rob Black arguing with referee Hernandez right now. What is this all about?
You don't know, Chick.
Know what?
You don't know.
Wait a minute. Rob Black's got a smile on his face, and so do you, Rivera. What the hell is going on?
Okay, he hates okay, nothing no, you.
Ring the bell! Ring the bell! What the hell is going on here? Damn it, no! Look at that 3! What is this? This is ridiculous!
Genius.
This is nothing but bullshit, man!
Genius. The genius.
The genius nothing! Rob Black screwed the Sandman once again! Damn it, no!
The genius. The genius.
What the hell? This guy is nuts! Look at it!
There's just so much going on there.
It's crazy!
I told you all along.
You
Chick.
told me what?
This was not a sanctioned match. The match that you just saw between Sandman and Webb, that might as well have been an exhibition
What a ripoff!
for the enjoyment of the people. This was
The
not a
enjoyment of
sanctioned
the
match.
people.
What a
Chick.
total ripoff!
I
Oh, hey,
remember.
referee getting in the action.
I remember. I want to say it was Kevin that said, "Hey, maybe let's not say what a ripoff." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, okay," but we left it in. But
Too late.
I mean, it made sense, but it's like I was like, okay, I get it. Why you don't want that said, because
Yeah.
you don't want people to really think they got ripped off. But
No, yeah, and
But,
if you put it out there, and just putting it out there, someone's gonna pick up and be like, yeah, we did get ripped off. Didn't we?
yeah, we want our money back. But so this is an interesting point. Is Sandman? There's a number of websites, right, that have all these wrestling companies and all their title history. Is Sandman like a 3-minute XPW champion? I don't know if this is ever recorded on there.
With this particular match, paying attention to what happened here, it's really interesting because Sandman Webb had his match with Excalibur,
Right.
and he pinned Excalibur, and then Sandman comes out and they start wrestling. There was no match between Sandman and Webb. They just start fighting. They start wrestling.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, the referee is there, so the referee makes a count, right? And then Larry says it's not a sanctioned match. But then, at the same time, somehow Rob has his referee, Felony, rest in peace, Felony, sneaks in. Webb, Schoolboy's Sandman. We get one of these 1, 2, 3 counts, and so then Webb is now the champion again, or still champion. It didn't. So much going on.
If it was a non-sanctioned match, then there was no need for Webb to start the bell again.
For Felony to come out and do a fast 3 count.
There goes Conan right there. It's amazing looking at all these guys that came through XPW and all these guys that are now legends in the industry.
Dude, Conan at the time, you're talking about literally international superstar. International. Right. Mexico, Japan. He got so over in Mexico, got so over in Japan. WC. I mean, he was just over every. He was international.
Yeah.
He was a superstar, and, here he is in our ring.
And I think too, it can't be understated how over in ECW, like Sandman was the guy, dude. He was like the guy, and arguably, I know a lot of
use
people
the term like the people's champ in ECW.
And a lot of people, of course, it was like, wait a minute, that's where Stone Cold got it from. You know, I mean, I don't care either way, whatever. If you want to give Sandman or Stone Cold credit, it doesn't matter to me. But like he started this whole thing in ECW, and it was like the pop that he would get, and then when we got him, it was like this was like Terry Funk, Sabu level. Oh man, we got him now, you know? Right.
Yeah.
And Major Guns too, man. She was
absolutely, yeah. She was a lot of people paid their money, I'm sure, to see Major Guns. She was WCW. She was an attraction in WCW. There's no other way to put it. She was definitely an attraction in WCW, and she was up there, with main event stars.
Yeah. I think this is our last wraparound, George.
Over as Excalibur, and while their bodies may resemble one another, it is completely ludicrous to compare their in-ring talents. If you know what I mean. Simply pathetic. Totally pathetic. And then a legitimate competitor, an opponent, comes out for the XPW title in the form of the Sandman, and then Black pulls off some more BS, some more bull. If you know what I mean. And then he says that the title could not change hands because it wasn't an official match. This is totally ludicrous.
Oye, mi chico. The important things are the facts. Fact number one, Webb is still a champion. Fact number two, there is now seems to be tension between the Conan and the Sandman.
Well, you have to look at both sides of this scenario. Of course, K-Dog beat Damian Steele to get the shot at the title, and of course, Sandman beat Webb at Retribution. You remember that?
I was there, chick. You sitting next to you, chick.
Let me get through this here. Okay, it's a sticky situation determining who's going to get that title shot. And if you think that Rob Black is going to put Webb against both K-Dog and the Sandman, you're dreaming, Chico.
That is because Mr. Black is much too intelligent for that. And I am sure he will come up with a brilliant plan to bring honor and respect back to the Black Army and to the XPW World Heavyweight Championship belt.
Well, only if that was his New Year's resolution, but right now I could care less about the Black Army, or any resolution that he has. All I care about right now is XPW's New Year's Revolution, happening 1 week from tonight, January 12th, at the Grand Olympic Auditorium. I mean, you got the Black Army, you got La Familia, dude, you got the Enterprise, New Jack, Vampiro, the Sandman, King of the Deathmatch Supreme, all looking to start the new year in dramatic fashion, all looking to make an impact 1 week from tonight in downtown Los Angeles at New Year's Revolution. Who the hell are you?
Chick, I predict this year will be a big year for Mr. Robert Black, the Black Army, and for XPW.
You know what? Screw you, whoever the hell you are. Screw your predictions. When we return, the XPW TV title is on the line one more time. I can't take this. I'm going nuts. I'm getting out of here. I need my head examined.
Yeah, so this is like, remember in Raw, and during Raw, like in this era, they get him walking down, the tunnel. So that's what they're doing here with Chaos. And this was like the whole gimmick here was we're gonna defend the title. We're gonna defend it all the time. I'm a fighting champion, the Enterprise. And then so they have these like mock matches in the studio. Again, Bridget the Midget week 1 and this large lady the next week. So it was just the whole enterprise doing their thing. And it was, remember that now? Remember, were you there that night where Supreme got on fire in Rapture?
Well, yeah, I was there and I left early. I left before the actual occasion of it happening, and I heard about it later on that night.
Yeah, it was okay. So we are literally calling this live in the studio. The match is happening, like we're at the desk. We're not even mic'd. You just hear us in the distance. They're like, okay, guys, we need you to like shout the play-by-play. And I remember like my voice was already gone. Like we just had to, and there's a drop kick, you know, like way out. We're like in the corner of the room. Okay, look at some audio here, George. This is interesting, actually.
We hear the music of chaos. Of course, the XPW TV champion. But where is he? Where is he? And who the hell are you?
Yeah. It goes GQ money.
This is so funny. GQ money. I remember nobody's there.
Yeah.
And GQ comes out and he's like interacting with the crowd that's not there.
Right.
He's saying some really funny stuff. He's like, you should know, you shut up. Don't call me a midget. Don't call me a leprechaun. I'm not a leprechaun.
Right.
Like, it was really funny. I mean, he went all in too.
And you know what's great? Speaking of like when Crack was saying everything happens in this building and these other buildings are like, dude, this was like in Van Nuys on a Wednesday night. Everything was closed. Nothing was happening. But in our office at like 1, 2 a.m., this shit's happening.
Party. Like a rave.
Right.
The TV champion, the fighting champion, your champion.
Yeah. Also
playing to the crowd that's not there.
We have like a few lights on there, a couple lights over the ring, it looks like. And then this is where the ring was always situated, folks. This was where the asylum, this was our second location, the second building. And Van Owen and Tahunga, Van Owen and Tahunga off that intersection. This is for you SoCal people. That's where this office was. And
Valley people.
Yeah, but or LA. But so yeah, this is where the ring was always situated. This was like, it shared a little bit of this. There were like 3 big warehouse sections, and this was one of them next to Rob's main office. And then on the wall behind there was 1, 2, which was all, you know, DVDs, videos, cassettes. So, you know, one of Rob's deals was, you know, his financial people, a lot of people that were invested in this company just did not like him doing XPW. Because if XPW lost money, it was like, boom, it all came funneled from the porn. And look at all this space that was unused. That, you know, the money people were like, hey, this is money we're losing. What are you putting a ring in here for? And this, you know, but that was Rob's dream, man, and he did it, and all credit to him for really making this a thing, man. It wouldn't have been a thing without the fans, but also without Rob and his money. Oh, a worthy opponent. There she is.
Oh my God.
You're going down, says GQ. You're going down. And we even got referee, senior official Patrick Hernandez making the trip out to the office. Shout out to Patrick, man. One of the best, dude.
Absolutely.
I just saw him not too long ago at a memorial show. So, and by the way, he's back reffing now. So this is
great.
Awesome. Yes. And I didn't even, this is great, man. Do we have audio or no, George?
There's audio.
Look at that thing. We'll put it back
Look at that thing. Jesus Christ.
This is the opponent. Again, they made titles on the line. TV champion, Mr. Chaos. Okay. Good enough. he just got shoved out by this gargantuan. Oh, I guess you could call it. You got it. Who is though? He's gonna take him. TV champ, baby, watch it. Yeah. Come on, Chaos.
Oh
you got it. You got
they
it.
They were definitely wired.
Don't stop, Chaos.
Uh-huh. Oh yeah, man. Yeah, they're not acting like it's 2, 3 in the morning, are they? Man, oh man. Wild, crazy, Wild West times here, man. Just anything goes. Anything goes.
Yeah, you know, honestly, looking at the setup with just a little bit more effort, they could have done like weekly warehouse matches, TV matches, just to get like more wrestling on the show. You know what I mean? Like just to do like a spotlight match, let some of the hardcore fans in there, just, you know, standing around the ring.
Okay.
I mean, something could have happened.
So I'm glad you brought that up. We were actually, I remember some of the weeks I came in there at a certain time, maybe right around this time, we were talking about that. Not only that, but on one side where you and I are standing, we were talking about putting a row of bleachers up and doing exactly what you said, which was basically TV tapings. And we were going to have, the idea was, never happened, obviously, but the idea was in this warehouse, do like once a month TV tapings that would be 4 weeks worth, like they did with Superstars and Wrestling Challenge. And then we'd have like Chaos, Supreme, Pogo, whoever, like wrestle our students, like the jobbers. And they were going to do a show like that. That way, the big shows at the Grand Olympic would only be on home video, would only be on what would not end up happening either is our monthly pay-per-views. We got one off the ground and that was it, which ended up becoming a best of, but it aired just before the company shut down. Anyway, that was actually in the talks, right where this ring is, and get the fans coming into the warehouse door once a month and seating them like center stage, WCW Saturday Night, where you just have one side with some fans and that was it. So that was in the talks, but it never surfaced.
Do we know why? Like, how did it just never materialize, or was there a reason?
No clue. I couldn't. I remember it was being talked about, but I remember in the back of my head, like, oh, I'd love that for that to happen. But I remember thinking, okay, I'll believe it when I see it still.
Right.
But no. Who knows? Just business as usual. Nothing ended up happening. Okay, there comes Webb. Hey, I remember right before this happened, right before this went down here, Webb and Chaos were jawing at each other this night. They were not happy with each other for some reason. And they were like two brothers, like kid brothers, like, shut up. No, you shut up. I mean, look, they've known each other for so many years. It happens. I just remember there was some tension between Webb and Chaos, like shouting insults to each other. Like like it was almost like a rap battle. Like, oh, you can't let him say that about you. Oh, you can't let him say that about you, you know. But whatever. It was squashed, I'm sure. But I just remember this night. It was oh, there goes through the table.
Angel through the table.
From the top of the ring. Yeah, I just happen to remember that.
Yeah, I don't remember it. Oh, Primo.
Yeah.
Right at the very end, got cut off. He got into the ring.
Yeah, they teased it right there, right at the end. You saw Webb, you saw Angel, and then you didn't even know Supreme was there. Well, of course he was there. What? Remember, they were all hanging around. That was your first night of doing this too, man. Yep. They were. We had an audience there this night when we were doing our wraparounds for sure.
Yeah.
Well, there it is, fans. XPW TV number 78, January the 5th, back in 2002. The debut of this gentleman right here, Juantastico, a.k.a. Larry Rivera, a.k.a. the fake Larry Rivera, on XPW TV. How was that, man? Going back in time, I know we talked about the memories, but share a little more about what you just saw and and how those times were for you, my friend.
Well, more than anything, I remember being nervous. I remember being nervous about just the whole situation.
Right.
Anybody who gets in this business wants their shot, right? Whatever
Right.
that may be, whether it's your first uh, live show somewhere, your first time getting paid to do a show. In our case, back then, it was getting on TV. That's what it was. We didn't know anything about YouTube or putting ourselves out there. That wasn't a thing. So, like I said earlier, like TV was the exposure. That's how you knew, like, hey, we made it.
Yeah.
We're and when XPW came on the scene, I don't care what anybody says, it was on everybody's radar
Yeah.
because they had TV, because they were
Yeah.
in these venues that real look they were in real venues that were known for having wrestling, and then they were taking over well-known like Hollywood landmark venues that didn't necessarily have wrestling, but you knew, like the Palladium, you know, not known for wrestling, but you knew what the Palladium was. It had name recognition. Um,
Hmm. The
Goes without
Palace. The
saying,
Palace.
the Palace, was it the Palace? I'm sorry, the Palace, the Grand Olympic Auditorium. I mean, come on, please. I mean,
Right.
the Mecca of wrestling on
Yeah.
the West Coast. So,
Yeah.
say what you will, criticize whatever you want to say, but XPW had the money behind it to be on television, to be seen, to bring in, international superstars, WCW, former WCW, ECW, WWF wrestlers were coming into XPW. So anybody who was serious about being in the professional wrestling game on the indie level at any level wanted to be on XP and it wanted to be somehow be a part of it. And I remember being that same way and wanting that. So finally getting the shot the way I did, I was just nervous about, because it wasn't just getting like, hey, I'm getting an opportunity here. I had to step into somebody else's shoes under very precarious circumstance, under very, strange and awkward circumstance.
Hmm.
So looking at this show now, I'm looking at it, I'm like, wow, for everything that was going on at the time and the real turmoil and emotion that happened that night, from you and I being together on camera, you can't tell. You can't
Yeah.
tell. I mean, we our rapport was such, and I mean, obviously we became friends before I was ever on
Right.
camera.
Yeah.
The story of us being in that class together by coincidence
Yes. I was going to bring that up.
yeah, we were in that class together, and then from there you were like, hey, let's go have a drink, and then the Pickwicks, the famous
Yes.
Pickwicks outings. And so
Yes.
we were hanging out. We were friends. We were hanging out. So luckily, I think that all helped. That all
Hmm.
definitely helped. And again, the nervousness, and yeah, I was scared of doing the impression and going over and jumping into this character, this role as my first introduction. But
Right.
you made it easier. Everyone made it easier. They, to the credit of all the boys in the locker room, I got nothing but support, and the guys that were there were like, "Yeah, do it, no, man, you can do it, man, do it. Well, yeah, you can do it, no, man, you'll be good." And so everybody that was there was like saying, you got this, you can do it. And I was like,
Right.
okay, and so I mean, and one thing I did notice was I was really like looking down at the notes the whole time.
Yeah.
I'm not even trying to play it off. I'm like looking at my notes, you know what I mean? Like, because I had I was so nervous and so scared. I couldn't keep anything in my head. I'd look at them and I
Right.
think, okay, is this? And then right away, I'm like, I forgot what that is, and I had to keep looking at my notes. So, but for what it is, for what it was, I think. I mean, again, I think our chemistry was just there, and
Yeah.
I'm looking at it now with you, and I'm like, wow, I really can. I know because I remember feeling what I was feeling, but looking at it now with you, I'm like, wow, like whatever I was feeling here was not. I don't know if anybody else noticed it on screen, but I couldn't. I don't think it was noticeable. So,
No.
um, Yeah, but
No.
it was. I mean, and you're hard not to laugh with you. You're very hard not to laugh with. You really
Oh,
took
thank you.
took a hold of it and really put that over. And I know there's a couple of somewhere in the future episodes where you know you're like doing your investigative report or you're the nose for news, this guy, and
Right.
you're like asking questions like that's not Larry. And so it's like, what are you talking about? They all look the same, whatever.
Yeah, right, right.
They
Well,
all
that
look
was
alike.
what
How do you know?
wasn't that the initial like joke and reason to call you Larry, like with
That
Kevin
was
and
the
Rob too?
premise. Like
That was the
whatever
premise,
my
right?
thing was, like I got in there. However, that was never explained because it didn't. Whatever the outcome was going to be didn't matter because nobody else could tell except you. And so it's very
Yeah,
fourth wall, very, are we addressing it? Are we not? Like it was just, and it
right,
was funny. As far as I'm concerned, it was funny. I hope the
right.
fans thought it was funny. I thought it was
Yeah,
funny. Maybe it was just,
right.
as far as I know, maybe it was just an inside joke for us. But you know what? I thought it was funny. I thought it was
I think
funny.
it
And you,
I think it was the right way to bring you in as opposed to just Wantastico out the gate, because I think it was, looking back in retrospect, we had to do something to kind of like morph it into, instead of just like switcheroo out the gate. I think it had to be this way looking back now.
yeah. Well, I mean, I think the way that it worked well. I mean, could they have done it another way? They could have brought. I mean, at that point, they could have just brought anybody in, and made that person. I mean, they could have put GQ Money in there and done a whole enterprise angle. Antagonist. Because that's what initially Larry Rivera was your antagonist, just like Keenan and Monsoon. They
Right.
could have brought somebody else in to do it who they knew was good on the mic or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, they could have just said, "Hey, we got this gimmick for you. Do this." But however, it worked out. It worked out the way it did, and ultimately, it worked well for the way it ended up being. How I was not really Larry and the whole
Yeah.
Fantastico thing
Yeah.
and everything.
No, it was, man. And I think that just looking back on all this stuff, so much. XPW only had a 4-year run, right? But if you really look at like different eras in wrestling, um, for example, uh, Jesse Ventura and Vince McMahon had a 5-year run together. That was it. You know what I mean? And Monsoon and Heenan, however long they were together. So you look back, you're like, well, it was only in existence for 4 years. Well, look at all this other stuff that we look back on at that. Wow, look at the 80s and all this stuff. But a lot of things in the 80s and 90s were only that had those limited runs too. So when people say like, gosh, there's so much, XPW is only around for 4 years, but man, there's so much history. Well, that's kind of how it is with not just XPW, but and not just wrestling. But if you look at wrestling, a lot of those eras of Hulkamania or whatever, all those eras were compacted into these 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 year runs. So a 4-year run is actually, now that I think about it, it's really like, okay, a lot can happen in 4 years.
No,
So
absolutely, absolutely. A lot can happen in 4 years, and for my time there, it felt like a lot. It felt long. It felt like I was there a long time.
yeah,
And then for as far as like the tangible evidence of it, literally it's episode like 78 to like 101, 102, something like that. So that's a
hmm,
span of however many weeks that is.
right.
And for me, it felt like a significant part of life.
Right. It absolutely. I think that's like what is that? If that is the case, it's like 23, 24 weeks. Like
Something like that. Yeah.
if you count
Yeah.
78 as one, then 98 would be 21, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Not 20, so 98. So yeah, like close to 25 weeks of television. And
Yeah.
yeah, 25 weeks is a long time, especially when you got to go in every week, you got to stay late into the night. You have to do your homework on what's going on. I mean, look, you got wrestling, I get wrestling. It's like one of those things when you go to a show, it's like, all right, tell me who's wrestling, tell me who's who's heel, who's face, what the storyline is. We'll fill in the blanks, you know. But then, like you said, looking at our script, you know, like when I was going nuts, getting frustrated, like, who are you? Like, I'm losing my mind. I'm looking at my papers. but those were something else, because Kevin, oh my gosh, even like Robin Webb would say, like, oh my gosh, you're writing another novel here for them. You're writing, like, it was so long. So, but that was Kevin. Kevin was great at what he did, and it wouldn't have been as good without him. And
Absolutely.
And we had a lot to memorize those nights. Like, calling the match was easier, in my opinion, but memorizing those wraparounds, there was a lot. It was like, let me memorize this paragraph, these 5 paragraphs, and then you just memorize a bullet point on each, and then okay, and then it comes back to you, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of fun, man. And
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thanks. Thank you, Wrestling Chatter. Thank you, Kris Kloss. I really hope. Thank you for having me on. I really hope we can do it again. I really do.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, we
I'd love to
gotta.
go over a lot of these episodes that I'm on. I'd love to explore and talk about what was happening in my brain and what was happening behind the scenes while we were doing that.
Yeah, and
You
it
know, I
was
was thinking about that one where you were looking all over looking for, where's this dude? There's one
Yeah.
episode where you were looking for me all over the valley. That one was funny too.
Right. We got to find that one then too, because the last one
Yeah.
we did was 2 episodes after this. When I
Yeah.
that was archived. That was archived, folks. If you haven't checked that out, it was the very first of these watch-alongs. It was with my guest here, Juantastico, and that was the one where Crimson attacked me, and that was the one and only time I did the old blade job.
Kayfabe, Chris,
wrestling.
kayfabe.
It's hey man, those days, you know, I brought this up to Angel too, and I'll tell you, fans, the fact that we're doing this now, when looking at us back in 2002, that Juantastico, that Kris Kloss, in our minds, we were going to take all this to the grave with us. I never imagined that we would one day be exposing this, because that's just not what you did, and that's not what wrestling was. It wasn't until a few years later that the shoot interviews started surfacing, you know, and then things changed, eventually the internet. But no, when we were doing that back then, I thought I was going to take all this to the grave with me, because that's just what you did, you know? And so, yeah, man, yes, I'm saying blades. Today I'm saying that. But no, I never would have said that. I never would have said that back then. So good point, man. Juantastico, brother. Good seeing you as always, my friend. Thank you for being back, and we definitely want to have you back, because there's a lot to cover with you. A lot of good fun.
Thank you.
Historical fun, interesting stuff we got to cover with you.
Thank you. I want to say thank you to the fans. Number one, you know, hit the like button, subscribe, do what you got to do. This guy over here, my buddy, my pal, the Wrestling Chatter channel. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Are. Okay, well, hey, guys, thank you. There you are again. Thank you, Brady Bunch. Okay, so here we go. Folks, once again, thank you for your support. Go ahead, keep dropping those comments. Keep them coming. Like, share, comment, subscribe to the Wrestling Chatter YouTube channel. Xtreme Memories, brand new episodes out on the 15th and the 30th of every single month. For once again, my guests, Juantastico. My name is Kris Kloss. That's right. There can only be Juan. We'll see you next time for more Xtreme Memories.